Hey, welcome to Clarksville Vibe the show where we tell the stories about people here in Clarksville, Tennessee who make this place the greatest place to live in America. Let me tell you, I am really excited about today's episode. We are probably around episode 60, 61. I'm not really sure when this is going to release, but this guest today is someone who I've had on the list from day one. I have been waiting him, holding him in my back pocket to bring his story to you. I wanted to let the audience grow a little bit, help more people find our community online, and finally, we're getting the chance to bring his story to you today. He is a dear friend. He's a really powerful person in our community who gets to be on the front lines of serving our community in really creative ways. He's a visionary. He's creative. He is probably a pretty good listener and follower of instructions of his wife at times, but he's a dear friend of mine, a dear friend of our families, and you're going to want to hear his story. Before we get into it, check it and see if you can like, subscribe, hit any kind of follow, whatever the algorithm tells you to do so you can catch great content like this about positive people from Clarksville all around our community. After that, our guest today is Nicoletta, my dear friend, a pioneer in his industry. He is a caterer, a wedding event planner. You know, you've got all these things. You've got a bakery shop. You've got a bagel shop, all those things.
That's quite an introduction. That's quite a head pump. I don't know if I can follow that with some. We'll try to give it as much substance as I can.
Oh, well, you'll do it for sure. The great thing about your story is you don't have to follow it. You have already paved the way. And so now we just get to share part of it.
It's been a heck of a ride.
It's been a heck of a ride. Absolutely.
We've done a lot.
You have done a lot, and you have so much to be proud of. Your team is obviously very critical to that. Execution in your industry, consistency in your industry is so hard. You can't have a night off because your brand demands the best. And when people use you and when they see your catering event, we know what to expect. Yeah, as the event goer like myself, I'm coming in and I probably fasted most of the day because I know I'm coming in ready to eat.
It's like Thanksgiving Day.
It's like Thanksgiving. Yeah. You go to the bagel shop on a Saturday morning, you know it's going to be good. You go run through the bakery in Sango, you know it's going to be good. So I know leadership-wise, you've had all kind of challenges to overcome, but I also know this about you. You love Clarksville, and you love the people of Clarksville. And we are really, really blessed to have you here and to keep your talents here. As much as you've probably had opportunities to take them elsewhere, you keep pouring into Clarksville, and we all get the benefit from it.
I believe in the future.
Yes,
I believe in the future of this community, and I'm hopefully I'm trying to instill maybe a standard.
Yes,
I believe that when you reach the bar that you've set or that you feel you can reach as a team, if you continually look to reset that, you're only continually improving your product or your brand.
Yes.
So every event we go to, it's funny because every event we go to, we pull staff aside before the event really begins, and we have what we call, in the industry, it's called a pre-meal in restaurants. But we have kind of a powwow where we pull everybody together and say, hey, this is this event, this is this wedding, this is this community event that we have to execute, and this is why it's important tonight.
Yes.
And we do that before every single event with all the staff.
Yeah, just refocus
because it may be just a wedding, or it may be just an event at the Wilma Rudolph Event Center, but that is someone's wedding day.
Yes.
It's not just a wedding.
Yeah.
That's someone's huge benefit they've been planning for 6 months. It's not just another dinner.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting to be able to get amped up every night for another event. So you get amped up and you execute the event, and it goes off with a hitch, and then it's a perfect world, and then you come down, and the next day you're right back up.
Well, we're recording this last day of November 2023, and I know the storm is about to hit you starting tomorrow. December.
It actually starts tomorrow.
We
have 2 Christmas parties tomorrow.
I knew I could snag you right before December. So
that was it. This was the last day. We have a couple Christmas parties tomorrow, and then we'll do about 30 in between now and the week before Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I do want to talk about that a little bit because I feel like, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this was Nicoletta's catering. This was where it all started, was in events. And that's what I feel like, right?
It was.
And so talk to me a little bit about, was that always your vision? Was it more of the takeaway was your vision and maybe the early opportunities were in events?
The events was where we started, and it was where our heart was in the beginning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it still is.
Absolutely.
And it still is.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I wanted every wedding. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to see what the weddings were producing, what standard of service was being executed at these weddings, and I wanted to see, could we do it better?
Yeah.
Could we do more? So in the beginning, it was how many events can we knock down this week, and at what level, right? Okay, so then we found the shop at 820 College Street, which everyone knows, the Eat Good building.
That's right.
All right. So one day someone happened to just wander in because they saw our sign at the front. You think catering.
What do you got?
I
Yes.
need something for lunch.
That's right.
So somebody wandered in and he needed some food. And I had some food in the cooler from the wedding the day before.
Okay.
All right. So I said, this is really our commissary and our
Yes.
takeaway spot.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't yet, but
Yeah.
that was the birth of it.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't have any food for you right now, but here's some great food from the wedding last night, and I'll be more than happy to give it to you.
Yeah.
Right. So I
don't even
him
have a
food.
way to charge
And
you
then
for this small amount of money.
I didn't.
That's right.
I didn't. So I gave it to him, and then the next week on the same day, it was a Monday morning, he showed up. With a friend. And he was like, these guys have food. And I was like, well, is this somebody I need to kind of help or take care
That's
of?
right.
He wasn't. He was affluent, and he had
He had the money to
means.
spend, yeah.
He had the means to get what he needed.
Yeah, you just didn't have the systems in place to pivot
Right. So
into
I looked
that.
at Virginia, my wife, who I owe a lot of this to.
Absolutely.
And I said, takeaway. There's takeaway, wings and chicken tenders and things like that, but there's no elevated option. Like, okay, so in a perfect world, I'm a little traditional.
Yeah.
The family sits down at 5 or 6 o'clock and eats dinner.
Yeah.
But in the reality, that doesn't happen anymore.
It's very hard.
Life's just not there.
Sure.
It's just we're not in the same place we were in the 90s and in the 80s.
Sure.
So 5 o'clock isn't dinner time, and neither is 6, and everybody's not going to be at a table.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that I realized that all these folks were just hitting Sonic after ball practice on the way to dance, right? So even though, if we can't have the traditional nucleus at the dinner table, can we give them an option that doesn't send their kids through drive-through every night?
Yeah.
Right? So let's give them a really convenient option to feed their kids and their family really good food that takes a minute and a half in the microwave. So after practice, they don't have to hit Sonic. There's food at home waiting on them that's ready.
Yes.
So I said, look, there's no option for that, so let's try it. So we put out a menu that was written on a chalkboard, and I put it outside the front door. And I got 12 orders the first week.
Yeah.
And I was so happy.
12.
I was so happy and grateful for those 12. So I signed the lease on the building, and I said, okay, this is my rent, and that's scary. That's the first lease I ever signed in my life.
Wow.
It was 820 College Street. And I said, okay, I divided the rent by days in the month and said, if I can do $30 a day,
that's right,
I can make my rent.
That's what we've all done. Yeah, it's like,
I can make
what
it,
do
all
we
right,
just
if I have
to
to
do
work
get by?
7
That's
days,
right.
okay, so I can't fail at this.
Yes,
Right? I can't fail.
No, not at all.
So that was how the takeaway was
awesome.
born.
Yes.
And then I tried to intermingle the takeaway into the catering, and the takeaway takes the first half of the week, and the catering takes the weekends for the city's events. And all of a sudden, we're packed. We're full.
You were full. Man,
that's how it was. That's how it begun.
What a great story. I remember the early days of the takeaway, the early days of the online ordering system. Here's the Facebook post. Put your order in the comments.
And you've got about 17 minutes.
You got 17 minutes when this mug is posted before we are out of capacity.
Right.
It was hashtag Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah,
People lining
hashtag
up.
Case
It was-
Junkies.
was
but
great.
what I loved about that time, and I don't know if you look at it with the same fondness, is I felt like, as an outsider looking in, here's Nicholas doing something new, having capacity really beyond what he can handle, but still trying to connect with the people that he's serving. It wasn't you from a distance just saying, cut it off. Nope. It was, let's create a community here. Let's try to serve our people better. This is just the system that we have. And then now here we are years later. Case Junkies has continued.
Now
Those
we're
are just the
asking
days.
them, how can we be better for you?
Yes. Well, and you've pivoted and moved through different menu options. There's always been the meal for 4 or 5.
Right.
Then there was the meal for 2, and then I've noticed that.
Yeah. You have to be able to flex.
Yes.
I mean, if you're there, if you're truly there for the community, then you are part of the community. So ask yourself, internalize, what would make it easier on us as a family?
Yeah.
What would make it easier on a crazy Wednesday night when you want something other than a double quarter pounder.
Well, let's talk about the people who are probably the case junkies. They may have it tattooed on their arm or somewhere.
We actually have one.
Okay,
and I'll make sure I share that photo with you. We had one. It was an interesting story. Longtime case junkie. He ended up in Gatlinburg. We know what happens in Gatlinburg. Sometimes you come home with a tattoo.
Yes.
Or an airbrush T-shirt. Nonetheless,
right.
He came home with a tattoo.
He came with a tattoo
of the Nicoletta's logo on his back.
Yeah. Who were some people early on that you felt like, they really gave you the courage to take that plunge? Because when you've got your history as as a chef, right?
Right.
And you're an employee of someone, you kind of make that pivot into, okay, I think I know events because I've been a part of events. Now I'm doing takeaway, and I don't know takeaway. We're going to have to figure this out on its own. Then we're going to have to, figure this out. But people are believing in you. People are telling you behind the scenes, no, you got this. You can do this.
There's a couple individuals that stand out from the early days.
Yeah.
Miss Carrie Daughtery with Party Station Rentals in the Tanglewood house.
Yeah.
She took me under her wing in regards to the catering side, and showed me how to work events, how to work Clarksville events, because they're a little different.
They're different.
And how to reach that market. Mm-hmm. And she helped me tremendously. I'm forever grateful for her for that. F&M Bank took a belief in me in the very beginning, and still does support us tremendously.
There is a meal at the 5th floor at F&M Bank Arena that I have not forgotten that you were catering. And because there's a level of going to events where you kind of, food's going to be there, but you always have this wonder of like, do I need to eat before? Like, is it going to be good or not?
It is.
I went to this thing up to the F&M Bank Arena, and this is like 2017. So this is, several years ago. And it was, some kind of chicken and, vegetables, nothing, that you wouldn't expect to be on the menu.
Just good and fresh.
But man, I still remember looking at you like, I need to take some home. Can I please take some of this home for leftovers?
Right.
It
and
was
it's
amazing.
It's the age old lore that you should either eat before or eat after. But not all event food is created equally anymore. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show people that you can still have an event and we can still execute a high level of food and beverage service for the masses at an elevated level.
Yeah.
And wedding food is not just wedding food anymore.
Wow. What is what were some of the challenges that you've had to feel like you were figuring out from, like, let's say the professional aspects of the chef, the food prep part, when you go to these masses and you're trying to make it at an elevated state? Like, what are some of the challenges on the back end that you're dealing with the kitchen in terms of training is it training your people to be consistent? Is it, sourcing the type of food from a certain place? Is it the skill of timing it temperature wise? Like
that right there, you just hit it. Okay. That is the toughest part, is logistics.
Okay.
How do I get food for 500 from the commissary to the venue in a safe and logical manner?
Yeah.
And then hold that food and then finish that food and then fire it onto the line for a dinner service at a specific time. The movement of the people and the food and the equipment is the most challenging aspect of this whole.
Wow.
It's the contractual work beforehand, that stuff is easy. It's the movement. Yeah. It's the execution. It's the 3 hours leading or 5 hours leading up to the event. And then you have to nail it in 45 minutes.
Yes.
So it's get up, wait, hold, wait.
Yes.
Now fire.
Yes.
and when you fire, you've got to be on it because you've got one shot.
Yeah.
So, like, going back to what you said, you can't have an off day.
Yeah.
Your timelines and your logistics have to be precise.
Wow. That's really interesting to hear. Every industry has its own challenges on the back end where skill separates people who are doing the same thing, right? Or maybe attention to detail separates. And I've always been curious how there can be such a spread of what I feel like as an event attendee between different providers, and
you're working with other professionals. You're working with a tenting guy and a lighting guy, and you're working for the city's farm to table dinner, which we look forward to every year. That's a great event. You're getting to feed, 150 or 200 of your friends in the middle of downtown under a tent with little to no facilities.
Bro, I felt like a Swiftie trying to get tickets to your event. I was okay,
they're fun.
When do the tickets go live?
They're fun.
You know, I've got my clinic is operating. I don't care. Like there's stickies on the computers. Like when these tickets go live, I will be buying.
You've got to be ready.
Like it is.
You've got to be ready.
It is my single most, and I told this to Maggie Houts, who we did an event, or we did a podcast about City Parks and Rec and cities, the one who puts it on. And I told her the Farm to Table event is my single most favorite event of the year. Thankfully this year we had amazing weather. It was really nice, but to take the food from the farmers, from the market, you know, put your elevated expertise with it, have all your friends there in a place that you love. You feel the energy. It's in the middle of the summer. It's just
a beautiful scene.
It is a really fun event. Something that I hope the city's proud of. I know you're proud of.
Very much so.
And the peaches and the
what
do you put on the peaches there?
It's the grilled peaches with the ricotta and the whipped honey.
This is my lunch hour right now, and I haven't even eaten yet. But
it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
It is the signature dessert of that entire event, and I look forward to it. I see you on this. I don't even know what it's called. It looks to me like a burning wheel of fire, and you're just back there, you know, smiling behind it. You know,
it's fun.
You're just having so much fun.
I think ultimately, you know, being part of the community and being a business owner in Clarksville, I'm not chasing the dollar. You know, I'm chasing is the satisfaction that I get from feeding my friends out in the middle of nowhere under a tent.
Wow.
And, you know, when I get to an event and I'm doing it because it's fun and because I'm feeding my friends, I think if you're in that element and you're in that place, it becomes easy. It's not like work. You know, I know it's cliche to say, well, if you love what you do, it's not like work. But it's true. It really is. I mean, when I'm out there with you guys in, you know, under a tent in 90-degree heat and we're trying to make it happen, that's just the best. Yeah. I mean, if there's any definition of community, that is it. It's one community member and business owner giving back to the community that supports him and keeps him and his staff afloat. Yeah. You know?
Well, let's talk about your team a little bit, because that has changed, right? I mean, you go from early events to now you've got multiple operations going, multiple different entities.
Right.
You said you signed your first lease down there at college. You've got 3 now. Is that right? Or
we have 3 with a 4th that I'm going to drop on you in a second.
Oh, I'm excited now. Yeah, I'm partially excited. And then I know that, you know, somehow Adonia's going to find all 4 and probably in 1 week, and
she is a regular. She is a regular in our staff chat room. We just discussed that with her. No. She's the cranberry sauce lady.
She is the cranberry sauce lady. I looked in my fridge at Thanksgiving. I was like, I have no idea what we're going to do all this, but you know, I also can't say anything.
So we have a bagel shop on Franklin Street, which is so much fun. It's like a weekend thing, looks like a window, and that ties into the community feel on those Saturday market mornings when we have the market downtown. Yeah. Grab a bagel and some coffee and walk the market is just a perfect Saturday morning. Yeah. I love it.
When did you get the vision for that, for the bagel shop?
Well, we spent a lot of time in New York City, and one of our trips, my wife and I, we enjoy all the bagels we can when we're in town. And I said, you know what? We have a professionally trained baker on staff. Why don't we have a bagel shop? Clarksville's large enough.
Yeah, didn't have one at all until
No, Clarksville's large enough to have a bagel shop. So we came home and I went to the baker and I said, we're going to run a bagel shop. And she said, let's do it. So now we have a bagel shop. Yeah. And then I thought, well, now we have the catering and we have the bagel shop, and the baker needs more room because I want to do more baking. I want to bring the baking into the catered events.
Okay.
So now you can have scratch desserts on your displays. So we just need to find a spot for it. Hey, Virginia, help me find this building. You know, let's
for a building. Yeah, yes, right.
Lest I digress, but Virginia she goes along with all of my crazy ideas.
Yeah. She is the MVP.
She is.
Yes.
So now we have a bakery in Sango, right behind Appleton.
Yep.
So now once a day we're now in Pleasant View.
Okay.
And that's a temporary thing, but we're looking this spring to make it permanent.
Nice.
So we'll have a 4th permanent location
in Pleasant View.
Yeah.
which is a great sister community similar to us. Lots of our friends from Pleasant View attend events here.
Right.
Or, maybe they own businesses here and just choose to live there or whatever it is.
It's that little stretch that
it's just
connects
a little
us.
stretch. Yeah.
Just head to Golly G's and keep going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really exciting. But so leadership team wise, like you just listed all these things that you've now added. Like your team has to grow to accommodate
it
these,
does.
or you'll wear them out and they can't
That's
stay.
a tough aspect as well.
Yeah. How have you grown as a leader? Because I'm thinking there's probably a time in Nicoletta's life who the food prep was his passion. And then now I would imagine that there's a lot of times where you're not necessarily getting the fun joy of prepping the food anymore because you're the face of the event. You're maybe working on the back end, working logistics of getting the food to the event. But you've had to train someone else to get there, or you've had to train someone else to drive safely or to whatever it is. Yeah, right.
Relieving some of that, or I say relieving, taking some of that off of your shoulders and putting it on someone else's as a skilled position is not only difficult but scary.
Yeah.
For instance, tomorrow my sous chef is going to one of his first, because I have a new sous. He's going to his first event without me tomorrow, and that's a big deal. He has worked for us for 5 months, I believe now, and has been to 23 events. So it takes 23 events of going to events with me for me to get you to a place where I feel that you are totally suited and equipped to execute an event without, ownership there.
Yeah.
So that's a big day for him tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have a professional baker on staff that hangs out at the bakery all week and produces product for the catered events and the takeaway side.
And does the bagels still?
Does the bagels fills the pastry case. Oh, wow. So one of the toughest parts, obviously, finding help, finding suitable help.
Yeah.
And then cultivating that and channeling, finding what that person has that they're really good at, and then figuring out what part of your machine that would most benefit that person's attributes.
That's so profound.
So I hire someone. I don't hire them for the bakery or for the catered events or for the takeaway or for Pleasant View. I hire them for their attribute. Find out what they're really good at, and then figure out how you can use that to move this machine forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know it in the dental world. That's what I'm doing all the time. And it's hard to communicate that to people who are used to being hired for a position or a skill. When you tell them, hey, I'm going to move you off of this because I see potential in you doing this. Sometimes the reaction is like, well, am I not doing this right? Did I not do this right? No, I see the potential in you to do this. And there's no higher level of value of jobs, that executing jobs in my organization, in my dental practice, because to me, it's like everything is important. The first phone call, super important, super important, all the way to cleaning and sterilizing our instruments, taking care of your equipment, super important. So when I see someone who has a really high level attention to detail, like I'm thinking, hey, you're the person that I want to make sure when the kid of my best friend from high school who I played baseball with for 12 years, when his kid comes in here, I know these instruments are sterilized and clean, and you have the skill of attention to detail to do that. I'm going to shift you and position you. It doesn't mean you can't talk to people. And just because you're not out in the big circus anymore, it is not a detriment to that. It's I see this gifting in you.
And it's our job.
It's
our job to do that.
Sure.
Put them, I always ask staff, are you happy at the bagel shop? Because if you're not happy there, I can move you to the bakery.
That's right.
I feel like wherever you're happiest, you're going to be most productive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fulfilled.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a reality of the people who follow the Nicoletta brand, right? If you go and you get this feeling in the bagel shop on a Saturday morning and it's consistent, right? If you walk into the bake shop in Sango and you don't get that same feel, you don't get the interaction, the smile, I'm here, you're like, this is off brand, right? And so that's what is hard to communicate as a leader sometimes is, for us, we see a lot of kids every single day. And I'm like, I have to tell them, I don't care if this is our 4th kid of the morning and we're all fresh, or if this is our 74th kid at 4:30.
Right.
Mom made this appointment at 4:30 because he stays in school till 3. He's got a little after school event, and then they're trying to get this done before they go home. But they're still expecting the energy that we had at 8 o'clock this morning. It's tough.
Getting up for every event.
Every event. Yeah, because you don't know who's going to be there. And you don't,
No.
it may not even be the person who's paying the bill that you're most worried about. You're also serving the people who are at the event. And
Right.
you never know when one person at that event is now going to sign you on to 12 events for the next year.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure you felt that happen time and time again.
No, it does. I had an event, funny story, quick one. I had an event at a local bank, and when I left the event in the elevator, I get on the elevator to go down to the first floor, and on the elevator was the individual that was the point of contact for that event. And I felt when I walked into the elevator that I felt that we kind of nailed this one.
Yeah.
And we got into the elevator, and he assured me that we did, and then secured me the next 3 events.
Oh, wow.
And that is knowing that you made that kind of impression
Yeah.
at the first one, you're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you learned about holding some of your vision back? Because, my most fun conversation with you is, you happen to be in the bagel shop. I'll swing through, and we've got 5 or 10 minutes right there before, my order gets ready. And I'm telling you, hey, I've got this. You're one of the first people I told about this podcast. The idea in my head that I was like, I showed you the logo. You were one of the first people.
I remember that.
And I remember telling you because I could trust you with the vision that I was still too scared to really put into motion.
Right.
But we've also had this conversation of how our vision, sometimes it goes, you've got 8 locations in your brain and Virginia's here holding you back saying, Nicholas, come on, but there is a skill because you have a responsibility to the people that work for you now and your family and the people that you serve to not spread yourself so thin to then still be the event guy and still be the takeaway guy, regardless of adding the bagel shop, the bake shop, when you do those things at the expense of the quality at the events or at the takeaway, then now you've diluted your impact. And we've had that conversation of how that's been a challenge, right? To hold ourselves back sometimes, but it is in the best interest of ourselves and the people we serve.
You have to really be able to separate yourself. Good example. We tried something at the country club that didn't work.
Yeah.
It just was the wrong time and the wrong place and just wasn't the right call at the moment. So we had to pivot. But in my time at the club and learning that lesson that I learned, the takeaway aspect of the business was neglected. So funny thing that our time at the country club ended in just enough time to go back and grab the takeaway before it went away.
Wow.
So I learned, and what I learned is that you have to be able to manage your time is an easy thing to say. But you also have to be able to manage your expectations of yourself. One of my mentors in the beginning told me, Nicholas, the hardest thing that you're going to find in the catering in the event industry is how to manage your clients' expectations. Right.
Yes.
Manage the expectations, whether it be the bride or whoever it may be.
Yeah.
So managing your own expectations. So I know that right now at the 4 locations in the current machine that we have running, that Virginia and I are at our max. Yeah. We cannot open anymore without changing the entire dynamic of the business. Yeah. And I don't think I want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think I want to do that. I like the personal connection. I like being able to walk into the takeaway shop and seeing a regular who's been shopping there for 10 years now. So
10 years,
it's been 10 years on events and almost 8 years on takeaway.
What a blessing.
It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been fun.
That is really exciting.
Food is at the root of it.
Food is at the root of it. And I know you, one of the other things is I know that you're the kind of guy who you really want to see everybody win. It's not a competition for Nicholas, Nicoletta. I mean, it's a competition against yourself and how can you get better? But I've never heard this of like, oh, I'm trying to outpace this other provider in the same industry. Like that's not who you are. And I've heard enough of it about to say that that's it. So what are some places in town that you could maybe spotlight as a sit down restaurant that you look to and you're like, oh, as a food guy, they've done this well. Right. And they got a good operation going. Like let's just even limit it to sit down restaurants.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously we don't get out to eat a lot.
Yeah.
Typically after doing what we do, at 12 hours in the kitchen, your hands are in,
You're exhausted.
You're exhausted. And the last thing you want to do is cook.
Yes.
Even if it's for yourself.
Yeah.
So we don't get out to eat a whole lot.
Yeah.
If I do go out to eat, I usually head to Black Horse.
Okay.
Because of the consistency, and I love their pizzas.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, like we said, it's a real trademark to be consistent over that long period of time. It is really hard to do that.
It is really hard.
Especially in
food.
food.
I respect that.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And what Jeff's done over there has been nothing short of
Do you get
amazing.
the same thing every time?
I feel like he is the I do.
Yeah.
I do.
What is it?
I get the cauliflower crust because I have to eat that way.
Yes, right.
But I get the Tunisian pizza.
The Tunisian.
Which is curried chicken and honey brushed garlic crust.
Yeah. Mine is the courthouse. And I
haven't had that.
I have. Well, you probably don't want it. I mean, it is. I don't think it's healthy for you at all. But it's
we
one.
Are the carb
and Adonia, she is a carbaholic, and I think she wants that extra garlic crust and the fluffy end. So she'll take some of the crust. But man, that courthouse is something else.
They do a great job.
I don't get it that often because we're just not down there, or maybe we'll go down there for a date night or whatever
every night, yeah.
it is. But I mean, over the years, it is just the go-to, and it is always so good. And I'm impressed by that level of consistency at a place that is still, I would say, really, really high volume of what I would consider for a restaurant.
Yeah.
And to have the operations of even where they had the fire, and then now you're recreating it, starting from scratch again, new employees, new cook team, all this stuff is like,
and if you look,
still got it.
If you look at it over the course of the span that they've been open, other than the fire, nothing changed before as to after.
Yes.
It was almost like it was a little bit of a brief pause and then right back to regular schedule.
Yes.
And what that says is that the leaders in there are leading in a manner in which they can inspire a group.
Yeah.
So if you can inspire, I tell the staff that we have now, whether it be at the bakery or the takeaway or the catering, if you're doing this just. Obviously, we all get paid to do this.
Sure.
But if you have the passion to succeed, I'm going to take that passion and we're going to run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can grab a group of people and you can corral their passion and run with it, there isn't anything you can't beat.
Man, it's encouraging to me because I think in every industry you probably get to a place, regardless of what you're doing, where you feel like the mundane and monotonous part of your job is just kind of maybe takes the value down. But every time I talk with you, it's like this re-energizing of purpose, because for what I do, I mean, we clean a lot of kids' teeth every day,
Right.
and there's some aspects of it where you're like, is this all we do? We're just cleaning kids' teeth and doing fillings and taking teeth out. And no, the reality is we get to shape a childhood. We get to shape a parent-child relationship and how they, we're getting kids out of pain. I mean, I just took care of a kid. Mom said was up, woke up at 11, stayed up till 3 a.m. and she needed somewhere to go. Hadn't seen the kid in a couple of years, and we got him in and taken care of because that's the purpose. And I told her, I was like, I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I am not going to let you call me and say your kid's been up all night and I can't figure it out. Like, I'm your guy. Let's figure it out.
Right,
it may not.
right.
It may not be exactly the time, all of this
We
that
might
you
not have
expected.
gone through all the
but
right
I'm your guy.
procedures,
Yes.
but nonetheless, whether you just found out your daughter's getting married tomorrow, or
Yes.
you just found out your child needs the teeth pulled tomorrow,
Yes.
I want to be the person you call.
That's it. Yeah. And having the long-standing goodwill in the community to know that, hey, they care about the people more than they care about any amount of dollars. Nobody cares about that. We do it because that's how we pay our bills and we help our team pay their bills. But it's really about adding the value. That's what keeps Nicholas going.
In the beginning, there's all kinds of awards around town for everything. Now.
Sure. Yeah.
In the beginning, I wanted to see how many can we win this year. Do you know the award
You're
I want
on
to
the
win
Kevin
now?
Kennedy Senior plan with that.
I will never catch him. Never. Now I want to win the award for the best employer. I really do.
Valuable, right? Because you don't get it unless your people believe you.
Right.
Yeah.
I no longer want the best caterer, the best takeaway. This stuff doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Some people love my food, some people hate it. Sure. I want to be remembered as I worked for that guy and that was awesome.
Yes.
And he was really kind to us and they did really good for us. That's how I want to be remembered.
Yeah. 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 That's powerful. And I hope all of our small business leaders, if they don't share that vision with you, they will make some plans to start to adopt that, because that's what makes our community better. If we're the ones who are the entrepreneur minds, the risk takers, the ones who, vision keeps outpacing us, if we're willing to take the risk, part of that as a small community is providing employment opportunities that, yes, pay their bills, but give them meaning
healthy
and purpose.
Healthy work environments.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. What is something in Clarksville that you're excited about? Ooh. Maybe not just event space, catering space, things like that, but just in general, a resident. Yes.
As a resident, I'm excited about the rumblings of a ballpark.
Boom.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that whole little Vulcan, Frosty Morn area over there. And politics aside, I would love to see something beautiful there.
Yeah. Right.
And entertainment value. Last night, I went to my first ever APSU basketball game at the arena.
Yeah.
I went to a couple games at the Dunn Center years ago.
Yep.
And I was talking to a friend of mine, Charlie Kuhn, and Charlie mentioned that for the rodeo, or for the bull riding, the horse riding thing they had recently was packed.
Oh, it was packed.
Because being the first time in there and seeing that it was a weeknight game against a small team, so there wasn't much support.
Yes.
And it kind of hurt me a little bit. I looked at my wife and I looked at Charlie and I said, there should be more people here. Mm-hmm. And then they went into the show from the week prior, and they said that every seat in there was sold out, was packed.
Yes.
That is encouraging.
That's exciting. Yeah. Well, we're going to put that on Charlie's to-do list. I call him the mayor of Stashville. So, Austin Peay has the Stashville slogan. I'm like, you're the mayor of Stashville. You've been rocking this, mustache longer than anybody in Clarksville,
He has.
He's the man.
He has.
Well, Nicholas, it has been a joy to talk to you.
Thank you for having me today. Man, I feel like I'm part of a special club.
Yeah, you're one of the few, and I hope no other listeners take this the wrong way, but you're one of the few that I didn't send out this whole prep guide to, because every time we talk, I knew it was going to be smooth.
It just works.
We're just sitting here just having a chat among friends. Adonia was really excited about having you as a guest. Obviously, she is a patron, she is a customer, but she loves you. Maybe more than me.
She's one of our best.
Really
she met me in the driveway.
Oh, yeah.
She met me in the driveway.
That's right.
She wanted to talk about the cranberry sauce.
That's her. Gosh. Please, if you're hearing this and you have the idea of buying Adonia cranberry sauce at any Thanksgiving as a gift, don't do it, because she's already bought 10 or 12 of them.
Just message us. I'll let you know how many she is sitting on.
That's right. Awesome. Well, hey, man, thanks for your time.
I appreciate you having me today.
Thanks to Virginia, your whole family, for believing in you, supporting you. And we've dealt with Virginia on the back end of emails and always see her. She's
awesome.
A joy to
Caleb, Shelby, our son. Yes. You'll find Caleb at the bagel shop.
Oh, yeah.
You'll find Shelby at the bakery or the takeaway shop.
That's it.
It's still a family-run business.
Yes. Yeah, very cool. Well, hey, if you have made it to the end of this episode, thanks so much. I hope you found great value in Nicholas's story, the story of Nicoletta's takeaway, catering, events. It's just been a joy to have someone like him create vision, add value both in the product that they have, the service that they provide, but also as leaders in their own small business. Stop in the takeaway shop, go say, hey, he's got a power chair, or he did. I don't know if it's still there.
It's still there.
The power chair, take a seat in it, take a picture with it. It's a really cool landmark that I think you'll also find yourself full from buying some stuff. So make sure you check out any other episodes that we have had in the past. Stories like Nicholas, we've been telling them since day one. People from our community who are making a positive difference all over the place. This is our job at the show, where we tell the stories about people who make Clarksville, Tennessee the best place to live in America. I'm your host, Kevin Kennedy Jr. We'll catch you on the next episode.